Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, Comcast is trying to outbid Disney for the sale of Fox. Disney releases more information about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios, including what time of the year they plan to open it. Craig and Corey are going to tell us more about that. And we're going to talk about an article by Diz contributor Pete Perrone about 3 FastPass selections you need to make at each park. All that coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged episode 993 for the week of May 29th, 2018. Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friend, Steve Porter.
Hello.
Charles Boda.
Hey, folks.
Therese Eccles.
Hey.
Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
And back on the switch in the production nook, our associate producer, Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Hi.
And apologize. What happened with that?
It worked 2 seconds ago, and everything is the way it should be back here, so we have
I don't
clue.
I set my timing for like when I read the episode number, when I introduce Dreams on the music. So without that music, I have just nothing.
It was eerie.
It doesn't matter. It's changing anyway. So, we're,
it's a sneak peek at the new music. That
really,
we're
absolutely not
interpretive.
And that's coming. Just for those who didn't hear last week, that's we're gonna make some changes, minor changes. New logo is going to be unveiled, right, Corey?
Yes.
And a new intro, some new music. And June 11th, also the first episode of the newly revamped Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged, making a lot of changes there. We're going to be hosting it from here in Orlando with Rhino and myself, and bringing in via Skype members of our California team, and so changing that up a little bit as well. All of that coming on June 11th. Also want to put out a plug to remind everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, just go ahead and hit that little subscribe button right there. And right next to that is a little bell that if you click that, every time we release a new video on our channel, which is quite frequently, you'll get an email update letting you know. So we appreciate your support, and we're almost at that 100,000 mark, and we're trying to hit it. So help us out if you haven't already subscribed. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're listening to us on iTunes, subscribe to us there, obviously, but you can head out to youtube.com/DizUnplugged, and you can subscribe to our channel as well. I also want to welcome a new sponsor to the Diz. Caribe Royale Hotel in Lake Buena Vista is now one of our sponsors, and we'll have a link to them in the show notes page along with the booking engine. They are an advertiser, so I do have a financial interest in this, but I wanted to welcome them to the Diz. It's the first new advertiser we've added in quite a while. I don't add a lot. But the hotel is gorgeous. And we've worked with those folks over at Buena Vista Suites for a long time. And we know how good those hotels are. And they've got a great intro rate right now. I think I saw like $81 a night.
Wow.
And these are all suite hotels. So
And it's convenient.
And it's really convenient to the parks, only a couple of miles from Disney. So please check those out. John and Kevin are not here this week. They were supposed to be in Hawaii, but as I mentioned last week, Kevin broke his arm. He did have surgery and apparently is now a bionic woman. Has plates and screws and all sorts of metal in his arm. He's going to be charming going through security. But I also completely neglected last week to ask everyone's thoughts and prayers for Diana Varley and her family. Diana, of course, is wife of the late Bob Varley, our friend, and the person for whom this new studio is named. But there was another tragedy in their family a few weeks ago. Her son, Brian, was found dead in his apartment in Boston. We don't have specifics. It looks as though that he may have died of natural causes, which is really sad because he was in his early 30s. but there was a history of heart disease in that family. It's what killed Bob, ultimately. And so it was really shocking for all of us here to learn about Brian's passing. So we would ask that you keep Diana and her family in your thoughts and prayers. It was really a terrible shock.
Yeah.
Very, we couldn't comprehend it. Please keep Ryan's memory close to your heart as well. Is there anything else in housekeeping?
I'd just like to plug our staff columns. In addition to the news and editorials that you've come to expect from us, we're also doing, and I think I mentioned this last week, we're doing a series of staff columns that we've launched this month. We've already had one so far from Jackie Gailey and Tom Bell, and this week, on Wednesday at noon, will be Steve Porter's column. So why don't you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a written version of the best and worst. If you're familiar with the YouTube series that we do on the best and worst, it's kind of like that, but in a written format. I expand on some of the ideas that have already been addressed. Some of these best and worst shows that we did are a year or two old, so they have old information. So I kind of give them new life with new attractions and fill in with new stuff. So kind of readdressing some fun new topics.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Anything else? Anything else for housekeeping? How's the Welcome Center, Teresa?
It's fine. No, it's good. It's all good. A lot of people have been stopping by. We're getting ready to start our summer hours, the 1st of June, which means we will be closed on Sundays and open on Wednesdays instead.
Okay.
Because of ships in port and
And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the disboards.com Dreams Unlimited Travel Welcome Center in Port Canaveral, about a mile from the Disney Cruise Line terminal.
6550 North Atlantic Avenue.
Suite number? B.
B and D now too.
B and D. Well, they go to B.
They go to B.
D is where, for anybody who books a cruise through Dreams Unlimited Travel, we put they get a gift basket, a gift bag from us that Teresa and her team put together out there at the Welcome Center. We were doing it all in one spot in this one location, but there are so many of them going out that we needed to take a second storefront and order just to do that. So, which makes me really happy because now the Welcome Center is just the Welcome Center.
Just me.
And there's not boxes and all this other stuff all over the place. So, what?
No, just
It's just me and my new sofa.
That's right. She wanted new furniture out there.
Years I've wanted this new furniture and I got it.
So, right.
5 years later, it's awesome. I love it. I need a coffee table though.
Oh Lord, she's never happy.
Come and visit
in a
me.
Murphy bed.
No, I don't need a Murphy bed. The couch sleeps wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure you've already found that out.
No, it's all nice. A lot of people have been stopping by though, and it's been really nice.
Yeah,
really.
so you can head out there. I'm out there every so often. I need to get out there once I get back from California.
You do?
Next week, I will come out and grace you with my
You
presence.
threatening me?
No, they get scared. They get scared whenever I say I'm coming out there.
I
So-
don't. The girls all. Every once in a while I'll just say you're coming out even though you're not, and they all
He'll take you out the Twisty Tree.
they get into
How
it.
about that?
Yeah, we'll take you to the
I had to
Twisty
throw it
Tree.
in.
I can't go to Twisty Treat. I can't eat that.
You can't
Doing
eat
my
that?
low carb thing.
Well, you can
3
watch.
weeks, 12 pounds. 3 weeks, 12 pounds. Working out good. Feel
That's
good.
awesome.
So.
I won't weigh on this.
Uh,
Never mind.
All right. Anything else? Anything else for housekeeping?
Yeah, just real quick. Next week, Rhino and I are recording a question and answer episode for Universal. So go ahead and send us your questions at uopodcast@disunplugged.com, please. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're very welcome. Anything else? All right, let's start with the news. We got some things to talk about. Now, I think it was last month or a few months ago, Disney announced they were going to try and acquire 21st Century Fox, the movie division of Fox Corporation well, no, that's not the name of it, is it?
21st
Century Fox, but it's Rupert Murdoch's company. I forgot the name of it. There's a name for it, but whatever. And that was looking really good, like it was going to, like it might happen. They were waiting to see what the results of the AT&T and Time Warner merger were going to be, because the government is putting up some red flags about that merger. But now, reportedly, Comcast is stepping up to the plate, and they have made an all-cash offer that is much better than Disney's mostly stock offer. And this is getting interesting. So the battle between Disney and Comcast is not relegated to Walt Disney World and Universal. Comcast, of course, owns Universal as part of its acquisition of NBC. And now I didn't realize this before until this stuff started, that apparently the head of Comcast, I forgot his name, and Bob Iger, like, really hate each other. Like, there's a blood feud between these two. So Comcast stepping up with this, and then this morning we find out from CNBC that Disney is currently in the process of lining up financing for significant cash should it become necessary to supplement or change their existing stock-only offer. Disney is reportedly considering whether they will add cash to their current bid or if they'll merely shift the distribution to the bid to include cash. And so this is going to get interesting.
Cash always sounds better, though, right? It sounds better, but is it always better?
No, because
I mean, I would much rather tie myself to a company that I trust, Disney, and be...
Especially looking at their stock performance.
And being a stockholder and tying myself in than taking this lump sum of cash. Again, cash sounds wonderful, but I just, like...
But remember, we're
taxes.
talking about, what's the amount? 60, how many billions did they offer for this?
53?
53, I think.
58.
Or 58,
$58 billion, you know.
Cash.
So it's like cash. That's like, you know, you sell it, you go shopping the next day. As opposed to the stock. But, you know, it depends on what Fox's real motivation is for selling.
I get the impression that Disney doesn't want to lose out on this in the worst way, that I feel like all Comcast will end up doing is pushing Disney's bid up higher and higher, but I don't think that Disney's going to lose.
Now, I don't think this is the motivating factor behind this, but how many times have I said Universal's biggest problem, if we're going to bring this back to a theme park discussion, Universal's biggest problem is they don't own any of the intellectual property that exists in their parks. There is a lot of IP with 21st Century Fox that Universal could develop and own should they buy this. And like I said, I don't think that's the main motivating factor, but there's no question, given how important a focus theme parks have been for Comcast since they took over NBC Universal, that's not playing into this decision as well.
I'm sure it is. And on a quick note, yeah, like Corey had mentioned, the taxable thing is one of the reasons that Murdoch wanted to go with Disney specifically, is because when you're dealing with stocks, it's less taxable. Also, there are less hurdles to jump through, right? This, even though both sides are like bolstering their forces and adding on more and more money, none of this is probably going to go down if the AT&T and Time Warner deal does not go down. It's actually a very similar case, whereas AT&T is a service provider trying to get Time Warner content that they could then possibly, the fear is they could manipulate that to extort payers.
Okay,
right?
I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to start a political thing here, but how much of the government's resistance to the AT&T Time Warner merger is the fact that Time Warner owns CNN and our current president despises CNN. That politically CNN is in the crosshairs constantly. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's a fact. It's a fact of life. More than any other single news outlet, save maybe the New York Times, CNN is a constant target of this administration. So I wonder if that doesn't have more to do with why that merger is being questioned.
Well, it could. And a lot of people speculate that it does. And Murdoch is obviously on much better terms with the current administration. So, you know, what a Fox deal is going through is not as unlikely. But the thing is, it's still, they both deal with somebody who's a service provider getting content and then possibly using that to raise prices for consumers, right? So if this deal went through, then Comcast could feasibly do the same thing.
And you know what?
If this deal doesn't go through, though, which it very well could not, then all of this, all of this posturing with how much money is going down, it'll be too complicated for Fox to want to.
And I would buy the argument that this is about a content provider and a distributor becoming one. I would buy that argument if it wasn't for the fact that 2 months ago the FCC reversed course and passed net neutrality, which absolutely makes it much, much easier for service providers to significantly, if they choose, raise rates, create pay lanes, create pay lanes on the internet where certain traffic is preferred over other traffic. Now, none of that has happened. This is all speculation. This is all possible. But I think if the administration was in fact worried about what you just said, then net neutrality would not have been reversed the way it was.
This doesn't Warner Brothers. This happened in my lifetime once before, though. The whole reason why it's called Time Warner, didn't they buy AOL way back?
There was does anybody remember that cluster?
Yeah.
When Time Warner purchased AOL, and this was at that time the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
And this is when AOL was riding high, and then of course the bottom fell out of AOL. And Time Warner very quickly got rid of it, basically. They did get rid of it, right? They did divest themselves of it? Or if they were talking about it at one point, I don't know if they actually did, but that was a complete disaster, that merger. But that never really came up against any significant government pushback. That sale went through pretty easily.
Well, one that recently, in recent memory came up, was Comcast and Time Warner. Not buying Time Warner, the entire company, but buying, was it not Time Warner Media, but Time Warner Productions, or I can't remember the delineation there. That was going to go through, and then ended up going through a bunch of rigmarole, and nothing ever came from it. So all of these companies are constantly all of these distributors are constantly considering buying various outlets to intellectual property or to media. So
well, yeah, and that's the name of the game. That's why Comcast bought NBC Universal. I mean, there is precedence for, a service provider buying a content creator in that deal right there. What are you going to say?
Well, I was going to bring it back to what you said earlier about the head of Comcast and Bob Iger hating each other. Do you think that they're trying to do this as an absorption of another movie studio just because they know Universal wants it too? Or that my thing is, it's hard because as a person not involved in the transaction, it seems to me like the properties represented by 21st Century Fox go along with the types of properties that Universal Studios.
I agree.
And they belong there. Yes, I understand they want the X-Men to go to Disney and to be a part of the Marvel Universe, but for me, that's just that little piece of a studio's history that's 100 years old, and they have properties, that Alien will never see ever again if it goes to Disney. I would love to see Alien again in my lifetime,
Ultimately, a yard sale would be for fans of the movies that are in TV shows that have been developed by Fox. A yard sale is the best. Let Disney take what they want. Let Comcast take what they want.
Yeah.
But that's not a possibility. I think the end game on both of it is we just keep going around.
Yeah, but
on
I think
it.
this deal is worth more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah,
So.
Regardless, whoever gets it will walk away with a library, not necessarily even for theme park use, but just for streaming, for any re-releases in theaters, everything. They get this massive haul of classic movies with it, and I see benefits to both of them. I would love Universal to get Simpsons, since they've already invested so much in their theme parks with it. I would love for Disney to get some of the Marvel properties that they want from it. It's just one person's going to win.
Ryan, I'm curious about one of the points you made. Are you saying that you think Universal is a better fit, or are you saying that Disney is not a good fit?
You just said the same thing.
No. So
No, one is,
Okay.
do you think Universal is a better fit, or that Disney is not a good fit?
I think that both of those things. I think that Disney is not a good fit for the properties that 20th Century Fox represents, and I think that Universal is the best fit.
Okay.
Let's say
I just
Warner
wanted that
Brothers
clear.
threw their hat in here and was like, "We want this studio," I'd be like, "Pfft, "No." That I do think that Universal Studios and 20th Century Fox have made very similar types of have similar histories in Hollywood, and they have been around for so long that I feel like one studio is going to care for more than the other one, whereas Disney's thing is they milk everything for what it's worth, and then it goes into the garbage until maybe someday, 50 years from now, somebody might have said something about it once, and they'll bring it back out and try again, whereas these other places, I feel like I don't see Disney celebrating the history of the properties that they get, like Craig just said about re-releasing movies and stuff like that. I don't see Disney being like, you know what, we're putting the original Alien movie back in the movie theaters, Disney, right on top of that name, where an alien is going to burst out of somebody's chest.
Disney's about restoring their animated classics, not really their live action library, which is a shame because there's so many good movies. So in the sense of a film standpoint, really, Comcast, I think they would take better care of them in the long run.
Do you think that it might be Disney, knowing going forward that they want to invest more in the streaming services, that they could use these Fox properties to bolster that catalog?
I think that's actually what it is now that I think, Pete, you said that, and that was what actually made me think, I 100% bet that's what it is.
Well, as far as IPs are concerned, Disney will surprise us, right? And here are a couple examples. With Marvel, I was very worried that they weren't going to respect Marvel's history.
This is a lot
and I
of
was
what we heard
worried that
with
they
Marvel.
weren't going to, that it was just going to be all profit, because Disney, under Iger, is just a dragon acquiring gold to sleep on. All IP in its vicinity will get sucked up into it. That's generally their modus operandi. But when it came to Marvel, as it turned out, if you look at some of the stuff that they've made, the big stuff and the small stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy came out of nowhere, is not a huge thing. We're not talking about a superhero franchise that everybody knew. Now, they changed it, and they weren't completely loyal to the comics, but the thing is, they went in and they respected the history of the comics form while profiting off it, and want something even better than Netflix stuff like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. That is stuff that I used to read, that's a little more mature, and I didn't think it was a Disney fit. And yet it ended up being brilliant. So
I just have one more thing to say about this before we wrap it up, but is that the difference here is that Disney has a studio that has a singular vision and it has a mission statement. Not all studios have that, whereas Fox represents many, many more divisions than Disney does. There's never going to be a rated R Disney movie. And yeah, the shows on Netflix are the closest things to rated R that we'll ever get, but that's what I'm talking about. They're never going to celebrate independent films, and they're never going to celebrate these rated R movies.
This is a perfect segue into our next story, which is obviously about another acquisition Disney made a few years back. Of course, talking about Lucasfilm and the success they've had with releasing the Star Wars films since then. And of course, last week, Solo, a Star Wars story, the backstory of Han Solo, came out in the theaters, and everything I'm reading is that this is a disappointment, at least in terms of its box office performance. Now, they're saying the initial estimates for Memorial Day opening weekend were in the $130 to $150 million range. Now it looks like it did about 110. Is that what it did worldwide?
I think by Sunday close it was 103, but it might be up to 110.
They had a pretty strong Thursday showing, but while Disney hasn't released sales figures, the opening day sales in 43 countries were only at 11.4 million, and they're saying this is a massive disappointment because it's not going to reach, it didn't reach anything close to the opening weekend numbers of Rogue One. And they're saying that coming 5 months after, and this is kind of going back to Rhino's point, that coming 5 months after the last Star Wars film, there is Star Wars fatigue. That because Disney milks everything and because everything becomes a production line, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, they have their schedule with their Marvel films and they've been hitting it, but they're not coming right on top of each other either. So What do you think? I know, Rhino, you have very strong feelings about this.
Yeah, I think it's a number of factors, and Craig and I were talking about this too. Is that okay? So you've got, yes, it was within 5 months of the other one, but also we're gonna talk about that part first. Is that it also, they just released what it could be considered the most divisive. That's the right word, right? Star Wars
You
film.
ask that every time you say it.
I know, but I always think I'm saying it wrong. But it is the most divisive Star Wars film that's ever been made. You know, there are people that are like, erase it from history, and there are people that love it. You know, and so then that's on top of then the one right before this was also kind of a dark movie. So you have two semi-dark movies, one that's very divisive, one that people are indifferent or love it. One, and then we get to this one, and so I think there is a matter of fatigue too. But it's 5 months after this. I also think it's a big deal. So why would they release what is considerably the two largest films in their body of things? So they've got a Marvel movie and a Star Wars movie. Why would they schedule a release within 2 weeks of each other?
Yeah, that's one thing people are speculating, was that the release and success of Deadpool 2 kind of cannibalized.
Well, and Infinity War. So the other thing is, too, you've been building the cinematic universe for 10 years. They've had Marvel way before they had Star Wars, and they've really been, since the first Avengers movie, they've been saying this is where it all leads. And so you finally have this big movie, and this is a movie, not every family can go to the movies all the time, so it takes a while. Some people maybe can go once a month, Then you release like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, you know what? Let's put out a Star Wars movie. The other movie that all families trying to come together for and go to a movie. But you just had this other movie. I think that they didn't anticipate Star Wars, for one, Solo having the troubled release date, and I think it was originally going to be pushed back to Christmas. But then after everything that happened, they couldn't change the date, because if they change the date, then it shows that they're not confident in their production. So they have that going for them. Then everything with the movie became so public that people want this to fail. I hate news headlines that are like, Solo, a Star Wars story, lowest Rotten Tomatoes rating of all the Star Wars movies. And I'm like, okay, well, it's 71%, first of all. And I would highly go back and say episode 1, 2, and 3 are not, and should definitely be below that. But on top of that, it's like people love to see big things. They love to see tragedy as much as they love to see triumph, and they want something like this.
Well, this was a plagued production from the beginning. The original two directors were kind of unceremoniously fired halfway through production. They brought in Ron Howard to finish making the film. So there was some questions about how that. I don't know why anybody would question Ron Howard's directing abilities.
He's had some hits.
Really?
Yeah, he's had his last number of movies have not been good, but I would argue this turns it around for him.
Okay, I think he's wonderful, but nonetheless. So you had a troubled production. You had a troubled production coming into this. So how much do you think that played a role?
Oh, I think it played a huge role. I think it was one of those where people. This is the thing. I hate to say this stuff, but the media and how we immerse ourselves in one type of an opinion, people already want to not like something. They don't like it. They're not going to keep the open mind about it.
Do you think it's unfair? $110 million opening weekend is phenomenal.
I don't think that's a failure.
It's not a failure by most standards, but Star Wars is held to a higher standard. Do you think that's fair or unfair?
I do think that yes, you have a history of these movies hitting this amount. However, given the fan base, for sure, I have not seen the movie, but I'm not gonna go in thinking, oh, it was a failure from the beginning.
Well, it seems to be getting better word of mouth.
Yeah.
Than this report would lead you to believe.
Craig is somebody who, and I know you'll have something to say, but you're somebody that said you were not excited about it. You told me, oh, that terrible Star Wars movie, that disaster thing, and then
I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I think a big issue of it is that I don't care where Han Solo came from as a Star Wars fan. That was never like something that I wanted to sit down. No, I didn't. I never cared about it. No, that's these anthology movies. so far, the two have been based off of one tiny little plot detail that was released. Like, talking about the plans being stolen led to Rogue One. Talking, like, Han Solo bragging about the Kessel Run.
Yes.
Here we get this from it. So I do like that they're trying to flesh it out in a way, but Han Solo was one that I didn't care about. The Obi-Wan one that everyone's been craving for, that's something I'd be in on. A Yoda movie, absolutely. Even...
No, don't you say it.
No, I wasn't.
Don't say it.
I wasn't going to say
Boba
Boba
Fett.
Fett. We already know his. We saw it in Attack of the Clones. We know where he comes from.
No, that can never happen again.
I would have, like, the stupid thing is I love Chewbacca, but you can't have an entire movie in subtitles because of all the Wookiee speak. So this one kind of helped with that. Regardless, I think it's Memorial Day weekend. It's the first day that everyone barbecues throughout the year. I know it's kind of seen as a big movie weekend, but I don't know about anyone else in this room, but I was happy that after it was supposed to be forecasted every day of just pure rain, that I think it sprinkled on Sunday at my house for maybe like 10 minutes, and that was all that I had. So I tried to be outside as much as possible, and why sit in a movie theater when you could be outside?
I think they should. I think it was an overcrowded movie season. It's like what we already said. The Marvel stuff was there. I think this was better than The Last Jedi, and I definitely enjoyed it more than Rogue One. I like this one just as
Really?
much. I'm on the other side. I love Han Solo, and I did enjoy this movie, and I really, really want to see another one after seeing this movie too. So, I think people should just make up their own mind about a movie. Like, if you wanted to see it and it looked appealing, go see it.
I was worried about this dude taking Harrison Ford's spot. Okay?
Yeah.
And how
I thought he did a good job, though.
I thought he did a good job. And I couldn't see it while I was watching the movie, and I really enjoyed the movie. But since we saw it, I went back and watched the 3 originals with a younger Harrison Ford, and I could definitely see it. Yeah. After going back and seeing it, and I think they did a good job. You don't agree?
I think he did great. I think he did a good job, but to me, he wasn't. He was just another person, kind of with that same attitude, but it wasn't Han Solo. Like, that's just how I felt. I think he did fantastic, but if they would have said this isn't Han Solo's backstory, it's just a Star Wars heist movie, and we have this new character who's kind of like Han Solo, but he's not, I would have been like, oh my gosh, Alden really knocked it out of the park. As Han Solo, I felt like they were kind of cheap. They're like, okay, we're going to have you stand like Harrison Ford did a couple times and say some of his catchphrases, and it's going to be perfect.
But you got to remember, he's a younger Han Solo, and people evolve over time and change a little bit. So this is kind of the beginning of how he was when he was younger, right? And then as you get older, you change.
Thanks for spoiling the whole movie for me, Teresa. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
Just really quickly, I'm pretty sure this broke a Memorial Day record. And
it did on Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. So the thing is, we're arguing we're talking about this because it didn't meet projections and expectations. We're not talking about it because it was a failure or like it underperformed compared to the fact that it wasn't the biggest blockbuster of the decade, which is what we expect from every Star Wars and Marvel thing, or it's a failure now. So, people liked it. It was a good movie, and it did very, very well. You break records, you're doing well. It's not the second coming, so people weren't happy.
They only have so much money to go to the movie theater. You know what? I blame Disney for this disaster because people only have so much money for the movie theater, and you gave us a massive once-in-a-lifetime type of movie with the Avengers Infinity War, and then you asked us for more money 2 weeks later. Are you crazy? That's what it comes down to for me.
Well, let's segue this into our next discussion, which is regarding Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Disney announced last week that not giving us specifics, but saying the new area of the park in Disneyland would open in the summer of 2019, and the one here in Orlando would open in late fall.
December.
Which is December. It's definitely going to be in time for the holidays if they make projections. But I wasn't expecting to see that. I was not expecting to see that announced. But they're getting ready to release 2019 packages for Walt Disney World. And one of the things that a lot of travel agents, Dreams Unlimited included, were complaining about was we're going to have people wanting to know when should they be booking for next year, because otherwise they're going to say, oh well, maybe it'll open in summer, and then it opens in it opens in the winter, and they're pissed off. And so,
but even with Toy Story Land, we were getting these questions. When do you think we should go? Is it going to be open by our arrival date?
Okay, we'll just take that and multiply it by 11 trillion.
I understand, but even if something like Toy Story Land, which I'm excited about, people were still asking those questions. So something this massive, they'll change their whole vacation plans around this.
But they need to know they can't go.
Right.
Some people can't go twice. They're waiting.
I have a travel agent perspective, or like a traveling person question to ask you guys, or the travel agent people. So do you think now that they said the last, that it's in the late part of 2019, do you think that we're going to get the first really not busy season in the beginning of 2019? Or do you think that everyone's going to try and come now to get it out of the way? Or?
I'm sorry that you've been asleep for the last 5 years. There are no not busy seasons.
No, but what I'm saying is, because this is going to be such a popular thing, do you think it's going to cause this like kind of wave? Like it's going to pull up back toward the end of the year, and like it'll be like a beach where it kind of starts to mellow out in the beginning?
I think any speculation about what traffic patterns are going to look like once Star Wars opens is premature at best.
No?
I think it is going to completely change everything in terms of crowds, crowd distribution, hotel occupancy, hotel prices, because these hotels are going to fill up, which is going to drive the prices sky high. And I'm not talking about just the Star Wars hotel whenever that opens. Every hotel on property is going to be affected by this, and the prices are going to go up. So my strong suggestion to anyone is just look, Disney, we've talked about it before, Disney yields their rates. They do it on Cruise Line, they do it at Walt Disney World, they do it out in California. And that is when it first releases, that's the lowest price you're going to see. As these hotels fill, those prices go up, those prices change.
And then once they reach capacity, they'll release free dining during the same period.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what happens.
I'm on vacation that week.
On an unrelated note, look for all of our homes on Airbnb.
Right, exactly.
I wonder if, I know the Magic Kingdom's been the most expensive single-day ticket, more than the other three parks, and I'm wondering...
I expect that to change.
Yeah, I bet Hollywood Studios will be in that category with Magic Kingdom.
I think there's no question. I think there's no question that it's going to leapfrog Magic Kingdom. Disney
you think it's going to be more expensive?
Absolutely. Disney is going to want to get every blessed dime they can out of this as quickly as they can.
Because don't you think a whole new group of people are going to be coming that aren't necessarily Disney fans?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the rhinos of the world.
What are you chuckling about back there?
Oh, just a comment someone made in here that Rhino would hate. Fingers crossed for the Rose Tycho meet and greet.
Oh God, I hate Rose.
I have no idea what you're talking
Rose,
about.
the character from The Last Jedi.
Oh, okay.
The one who's with Finn the entire time.
Oh, all right.
My boyfriend.
So they've also announced what the name of this planet is going to be. Village, excuse me.
The planet's name is Batu.
Batu, that's what I was just going to say. The largest settlement on the planet, Batu, the Black Spire Outpost.
Yes.
Is what this is going to be called. Now, you guys were at the Galactic Nights event Sunday and got some more details. So why don't you talk about what you heard?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest news to come out of that, like you just mentioned, is that we now know that the name of the village we're actually going to is Black Spire Outpost. This is because basically this was a big giant river valley area on the planet Batu with a bunch of towering trees and over time the trees started to petrify and turn into a bunch of spires, and one of them was blacker the rest according to what they said during the panel. I know, right? That's where it was just more prominent and blacker than the rest. And so that's
Did I
where
write this story? This sounds like something.
Craig wrote a great review of the whole night. You got to read it.
We know, it's meet at the Purple Wall. For all these people coming to trade on Batu, they would say meet at the Black Spire. And so that's where this village started to spawn out from. And it's...
What a weird backstory.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a strange backstory, but it was like...
This is Star Wars.
And
So, what are you talking about backstories?
And this is in none of the movies, right? This is something brand new that they've come up with.
Technically, no. But Charles can say it.
Yeah, they reference it in Solo. So, like, what was it, the night before it was announced or something like that when we were watching the Solo premiere. There's a throwaway line about Black Spire that I think it was, L3?
L3, yeah.
Yeah, the droid says it.
Craig's favorite character.
Yeah, my least favorite.
Do you think, a question, do you think that this is all woodland based because they're going to try and, you know how the Ewok area of Star Tours is all the woods and the trees up there? Do you think they're trying to blend that area into? I know it's Tatooine traders and stuff like that, but it reminds me of that.
No, this has nothing to do with that. I don't foresee that being anything. It's from what I want to say is going to happen, unless they completely plow down everything with Muppets Courtyard. There's no way to connect the two, so there's no point in trying to keep that loose theming together. But no, it's I love the concept, the model that we saw way back when, and I feel like the artwork that keeps coming out for it is just it's really all coming together with it. But we didn't just get the name and some extra concept art on that. One of the things that they mentioned during it, they tried to surprise us by confirming the two AT-AT walkers that were being built. I think whoever was on that panel forgot that they posted a video of it last March where they showed clearly that they were being built, and then they built
were they trying to hype the crowd by being and two
they're like, well, that's what they said. We built two, they're life size, and we're confirming it right now. It's like, well, it was already known. You told us about it before. But we did get to see some of the actual photos of the ones inside their building now, and they looked pretty incredible.
Is this not an artist rendering?
Concept. No, that's actual photo of it.
Photo.
Oh, wow.
That's what it's going to look like.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
It's going to walk around the park?
No.
Yes, it's going to walk around the park and
people.
destroy tourists.
I can see that.
And
that's how they're going to handle the crowds.
Yeah, that was that's going to be a part of the First Order ride that they're doing. And we also got a look at the utility transport that we saw a model for back at D23. And so
now, stupid question. Any of this, can we go in any of this stuff?
Well, the AT-ATs, no, that's part of the ride, and this, I don't know if
I want to go inside an AT-AT.
I think we're just going to see this during the attraction. I don't think this is the actual ride vehicle. Maybe I'll be wrong on that.
You don't
really
say it? I think this is the thing that's going to bring people from the hotel. You don't think so?
This is the new monorail.
No, from the Star Wars hotel to get out of your room.
You don't think it's going to be built in? It's just going to open right into the park.
Right, no, this is a part of the First Order ride. They already told us that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know that.
In the panel, doesn't he mention that guests walk inside it and begin their journey from there? So,
yes.
So you do get to go in it regardless of whether...
I just don't know how we're going to interact with it, but then they also started to tease some of the new creatures that are going to be available. They're actually going to have, at the last Galactic Nights, they talked about how a lot of the merchandise was going to feel handcrafted and authentic to the actual world, not just a bunch of T-shirts and hats and crap that you can get anywhere. That'll be outside, but inside it needs to be all authentic, and so they're doing the same thing with creatures. And most of the creatures they're actually building for this are they're coming from either the fiction that's been written about Star Wars or the animated series. So a lot of it's being created for the very first time. And it was all kind of part of this bigger discussion in that really there are people working all around the world on making Galaxy's Edge a reality in,
That's cool.
in many different locations. Like, and they're all working in conjunction with the movies too. So Charles mentioned it on the Daily Fix. It was in the panel. They went and found the guy who voiced Nien Nunb back in 1983 for Return of the Jedi, and I don't know if they just used his voiceovers from that for Force Awakens, but they definitely have him for one of the new attractions as well too in this area. So they want that extra level of authenticity that they hope that guests will definitely notice it and be like, this is why
they only
above
have
and beyond.
They really only have one shot to get this right.
Yeah.
And everything they keep showing us with every update, it seems like they are.
It all
nailing
seems like they're moving in that
Yeah.
direction. And looking at my Star Wars nerds now.
Well, fun fact: do you know where Nien Nunb gets his name from? The original packaging for his figure was number 9, so it's 9 Nunb is the abbreviation, and that's how we ended up getting the
Wow,
name.
let me write that down.
Yeah, Wikipedia. I did my research before the show.
But you know,
Oh yeah,
this whole
I'm sure
thing
I
is
said
just,
it wrong.
I think
so.
is amazing. Like you said, the movie people are working with the theme park people are working with the.
How'd you get behind that microphone, Kathy?
I don't. Did it move on?
Yeah, you're well saying right now.
Sorry.
Ultimately, the thing I've been saying it for a while now. The one thing that could get thrown off by all this is if the cast members inside don't interact with the world
In
that
character.
Yeah, if they're not, they don't have to be specific people. Obviously, that would be as messed up in the Wizarding world if someone's like, yeah, I'm friends with Harry Potter right over there. That's no, they're not. That's not allowed. You can get in a ton of trouble if anyone ever hears you say that. So with Star Wars, I don't want to see in Galaxy's Edge, I don't want to see someone like, oh, my good friend Chewbacca, we hang out all the time on the Millennium Falcon. Like, that's I don't want to hear stuff like that. But as long as you feel like you're becoming immersed in this world due to what Disney has built, but also the cast members, it'll be an absolute success. But if it's front of the line cast members treating you like you just walked in off Main Street, like, hey, welcome to the Magic Kingdom, then that's going to be
So you're asking these cast members to be actors.
not actors. Embrace the roles that they're in.
And sell merchandise.
Okay, let me ask you a question. In all seriousness, what do you think the odds are of that happening?
I'm gonna say with something like the reason why it works so well at Harry Potter is because it's like a book series and movies and people are invested and it's a lot farther reaching than a lot of some of the traditional.
So are cast members who are going to be staffed in this area going to have to take some sort of Star Wars nerd quiz?
Yeah.
Before they can get the job?
At the
But
Wizarding World,
they
we
should.
had to.
Do you think that is what's going to happen?
Yeah, at the Wizarding World, when you were either picked to be in there or assigned to be in there, you had to go through
The sorting hat.
a beginner's class. Well, there was an 8-hour class where you have to learn all about it if you've never seen anything Harry Potter related before, and then you had to pass the quiz at the end. It was simple for a fan.
Right, I was about to say that. Yeah, like cherry picking the fans is going to have to be important. For
and
this.
that's what they tried to do for the longest time.
Like, I
at
felt
Universal, it was pull people in who were fans of Harry Potter and wanted to be there for it, and that made a bigger difference. It has since shied away from that, and not in a good way at all, and it has shown over time. But with Star Wars, they have to do the same thing. They have to say, do you want to work here because you want to be in this universe, or do you want to work here because you just want to be in the premier land? And they need to go for the people who are willing to embrace it first,
Who believe the story.
But even some of the cast members at the event we went to they were all into it. Maybe they were faking, but they were into it. They were. Look, I'm not a Star Wars nerd. I still have some of the original Star Wars toys I played with when I was a kid. I've seen all the movies except the most 2 recent. I appreciate it. I don't hate it. I appreciate it. The same way I appreciate like Harry Potter and stuff like that. I love that land and everything that they've done with it. I'm going to love this land, I know. But I'm not. I kind of felt a little out of place at the event because there's a lot more people at that event that just loved every second about it. And like I said, I can appreciate it, but I was kind of like a little fish out of water over there, to be honest.
And how do you think Teresa had mentioned earlier that there's a whole nother fan base that's not necessarily Disney fans that this is going to appeal to. How do you think the Disney fan base and the Star Wars fan base are going to merge and interact with one another? Because, obviously Disney fans who don't care that much about Star Wars, this is a new land in a Disney theme park, and like swallows to Capistrano, they're going. How, do you think there's the potential here that Disney fans in that genre may find it too nerdy, and if they try to dumb it down to a degree to please Disney fans, that Star Wars fans are not going to find it authentic enough?
No,
I don't see that.
You've seen Michael Jackson's Beat It, right?
I would
You
never
don't think the threat there is for that?
No, like as far as like too nerdy, I mean, because like
There are things that are too nerdy even for Disney fans.
Please, you show up in some Mickey ears that look like Chewbacca, and a true Star Wars fan who's not a Disney fan I don't think they're going to embrace that.
And I notice this. I notice this all the time, especially on social media. Disney fans looking at fans of some other genre or some other thing and mocking them. Yet in the meantime, we're dressing like Snow White.
Yeah, but that's the internet for you.
But I'm saying that mentality exists. There it is. That mentality exists, and so I wonder, with these two different, distinct fan groups, both very big, both very, very passionate. There is crossover. This room is proof that there are Disney and Star Wars fans, but there are also two distinct camps, and I wonder how because those are two markets Disney's going to have to absolutely make sure they keep happy. How do you keep both of those camps happy at the same time?
Well,
Charles, go ahead.
From my own experience, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I love Diagon Alley. I love Hogsmeade. I love the Wizarding World. I'm not a huge fan of I haven't read any of the books. I watched the movies, cursory glances once here and there for the CGI. But the thing is, I absolutely love it because they did a great job with the theming. Everybody who works there manages to present it correctly. If you do it right, you please everybody. I can rattle off more Star Wars nerd stuff than you. I've never been to a Star Wars convention, and it will probably be weird and frustrating for me because I can't, some people go really into their fandoms. But one thing I've learned since having this job is that Disney fans just love a well-done park, and they're going to accept it regardless of whether they specifically care for that niche or not. Star Wars fans will probably like it because this is the best version of Star Wars theming that they're going to get. It'll please everybody if it's done well, and I don't think the crossover really matters that much. Good is good.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. We already just saw that with Pandora, that it doesn't... there are very few people out there, you are one of them, Pete, who said, you know what, I just love the Avatar movies and I can't wait to see it brought to life. But it's just attracted this fan base of people who just want to see an area of a park that's really well done and really nailed. And so it's gonna be the same way with Star Wars. As long as they nail everything about it, it's going to get the regular guests who are just hearing about it and not really sure what to expect, but just hearing good things. It's going to please the Star Wars fans, and it's going to please the average Disney fan. But it has to be nailed.
All right, so for those people who are currently asking themselves the question, when should I visit next year if I want to make sure I see Star Wars Land? When should they book, Greg?
I've been getting that question on Twitter a little bit. For people out in Disneyland, I've been saying, September. That way, everyone expects it to be open maybe at the end of July, but definitely in time for D23.
You don't think this is going to open Memorial Day weekend?
In Disneyland?
Yeah.
No, most of the expectation is that it'll be open for at least in time for the D23 Expo, which is August 23rd to the 25th.
Oh, so late then,
I was thinking it was going to open around July-ish.
Yeah, it's some people are saying late July, but then the official ready to launch date will be right around to correlate.
So you think
with them.
September is safe in Disneyland?
I think September's safe there, and here I'd say just January.
Yeah, it's tough.
Just go
December
2020. You
21st.
don't want to, if they literally wait, technically winter starts December 20th, so fall ends December 19th.
Did it say late fall or fall?
It's
Late
a late
fall.
fall.
Late fall,
So
okay.
we're
Late fall.
saying-
So we're
very
looking at that
specific,
November,
yeah.
December
Thanksgiving.
yeah,
timeframe.
if we say the latest they do, they open it is December 19th, like the last day of fall, then you're looking at then going into Hell Week right after that, the busiest week in between Christmas and New Year's to see Star Wars Land for the first time. Just wait
And
till January.
You can also hunt down some slower days in January if you're there when a marathon is not going on. Because
Yeah.
keep
Don't
in
go
mind
marathon.
the marathon's bringing in about 100,000.
And so, what do y'all think? Y'all think they should launch Star Wars Galaxy's Edge with like a Christmas overlay? What do y'all think? Should that work?
All right,
Wookiee Life Day.
We need to move on. That'll do it for the news. We're going to head over to Rapid Fire, and Mr. Steve, we're going to start with you.
Okay, over in Tomorrowland this summer, there's the incredible Tomorrowland Expo, and with that, they have special snacks and treats and food options.
What the hell is that?
So what you're looking at is the super stretchy burger at Cosmic Array Starlight Cafe that has flame grilled Angus beef, that has deep fried mozzarella sticks, American cheese, bacon, and garlic ranch sauce.
All protein.
Made out of rubber.
What makes it stretchy?
The mozzarella cheese.
Oh,
you pull
okay.
it
Got
apart.
it. Got it.
And along with that, at Starlight Cafe or Cosmic Rays, there is the super salad. It's like kale and all that good stuff.
To make up for this abomination?
Yeah, maybe. And then at Tomorrowland Terrace, there's the Dash themed pizza where you can get either just a Sicilian style cheese pizza or pepperoni pizza.
Stop talking about this stuff.
And then at Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies, there's the Edna Mode's No Capes, Just Crepes crepe.
Really?
Wow.
And then lastly, at Launching Pad, there is a pretzel that looks like the superhero mask with black salt on it. So
I like how in Disneyland they'll give you themed food that's like, oh, look at this like corn, or look at this thing, or oh, this is this fun kale salad. And excuse me, I'm going to switch back to it. In Disney World, they're like, oh, you thought a burger was unhealthy? We're going to put 3 mozzarella sticks underneath, but wait. There's bacon, and you get a heart attack before you leave the park. Enjoy. Terrible.
So indignant. All right, thank you. And that has already started, correct?
yes, and that goes till September 3rd.
All right, thank you, Steve. Charles.
All right, running until September 29th, Animal Kingdom is testing a in-park ticket sales location, which is located outside of Discovery Trading Company. This will give guests access to ticket location services without them actually having to leave the park. So visitors are going to be able to purchase tickets for special ticket events like Mickey's various Not-So-Scaries and Very Merries. They can upgrade their ticket with additional days or options there, and upgrade their ticket to an annual pass, all at this temporary location. That's going to be open from park open till park close, and once again, it runs through September 29th. It's a pilot thing that they're trying out to see how well it works and how popular it is. So.
Is this more of a convenience thing, or
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
have to leave the park to do
Yeah.
ticket stuff.
or is it really?
I mean, it kind of already exists in Liberty Square. They have that little right as you exit Hall of Presidents.
The guest service is like it's like a guest service
services,
location, but you can
re-up your annual passes there and do that kind of stuff.
I also have a question on that is, do you think it will help with upselling when they have somebody in the middle of a park day inside the park enjoying themselves?
probably.
So that could be a reason as well.
Sure. All right, thank you, Charles. Teresa.
Edna Mode has arrived in the parks. Yay! This past weekend, are we all excited? I'm not real happy with the way she's looking, but Magic Kingdom,
It's
right?
terrifying.
She does look kind of like the missing link.
And she's a little thick in the midsection. I'm all about hefty girls, but that's not Edna. But I love Edna. I'm glad I'm going to go see her. Right, Corey? You going to go see her?
100%. Wasn't that your
Okay.
profile picture for
Yeah.
forever?
I love Edna. Everything about her. Except the way she looks now.
Everything about her except her.
Magic Kingdom, right?
Yeah, it's at the. I think she comes out on the
Expo.
stage show.
Oh, they're not going to make her dance, are they?
I don't know.
Everybody dances.
Is it a meet? So there's no meet and greet with
I don't
that.
think there's a meet and greet with Edna. It's
Oh.
just she shows up on the stage.
What's the point then?
Aw, look how disappointed she is.
Oh, I'm going to cry. move on to someone else.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. Corey.
All right. As of May 24th, last Thursday, table service dining reservations are now available during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. You have to have your ticket to book these, and so they're from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on party nights, and for Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal Table, and also Crystal Palace. There's also available is the Happy Hallowishes premium dessert party, so you get premier seating for the Butu U Parade and also the fireworks plus dessert and stuff like that. So, would y'all book if you paid this much money for a party, would you want to do it like an hour and a half sit down dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've done
you
it.
would.
We've done it.
We've done
Well, I
it.
know, but we're local. But like, if you just want to experience the
Yeah.
party, would
Yeah.
you want to take that much
I
time
know
out
what
of your?
Corey's saying. If you're already paying that much, you only have so many hours for that late night party. For us, we get to do multiple parties if we want to. But if this is your 1 week's vacation,
Well, think about it. That they let you into the park at 4 on that ticket. When you have the ticket, if you don't want to use your multi-day pass, you can get into the park at 4 o'clock. Party usually runs till midnight, so you've got 8 hours. If you do it early, do your dinner early, and most of the rides are a walk-on, so you'll have plenty of time to do attractions, plenty of time to kind of take in the atmosphere, see the parades and fireworks. Yeah, absolutely. And I've done
The
that.
one thing I do see is Be Our Guest and Cinderella's Royal Table. That those are usually hard to get into. So this might, this might be your one and only opportunity to get into those.
Yeah, aim higher. Aim higher. All right, thank you, Corey. Rhino.
Okay, so SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment, which operates SeaWorld Orlando, San Antonio, San Diego, and Busch Gardens in Tampa, and the one in Williamsburg, is offering free admission to United States military veterans. It has already started. It started May 24th, and it is going through July 4th. So if you do want to take advantage of this, you have to go to wavesofhonor.com because you cannot take advantage of this at the front of the park. So don't go to the park and just think you're going to get it if you're a veteran. Just make sure you go online ahead of time, or if you're traveling with a veteran. But not too shabby if you want a free ticket to head over there. So if you want more information, you can head over to www.info.com for that.
All right, thank you. And Craig.
Disney announced / confirmed dates for the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, their holiday events. Just like every year, it's going to kick off right in mid-November, with this year being November 18th through December 30th, and then the Candlelight Processional will start on November 22nd and run through December 30th because they wait till Thanksgiving for Candlelight Processional. So they keep up in this every single year, and so can't wait to see what they do at the holidays at Epcot this upcoming year. So,
and I don't know if the rest of you are seeing this, but my newsfeed has been blowing up that apparently, I guess Roseanne Barr must have made a really racist comment on Twitter.
She sure did.
They've canceled the show.
What did she say?
Yeah.
ABC just announced that they have canceled the show. So I haven't read anything that she wrote, but apparently she went on some racist rant on Twitter, and ABC responded by canceling the show. So there's my rapid fire.
Wow.
All right.
yeah. Just someone posted ABC's commentary on it. William did. Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we decided to cancel her show. So chances are we probably couldn't read it on this show anyways.
Yeah.
Or we should.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I saw what she said right before we started. It's
No,
not great.
I haven't seen it, and I'm okay with that. All right. Moving on. As you guys know, we have contributors who write for the Diz. Anybody can become a contributor. We'll make sure we have a link in the show notes page, dizunplugged.com, where you can sign up. Contributors get paid $25 an article if we use the article.
I'll reopen it. It's been closed. We have a backlog, so I'm just saying. I'll reopen it.
Okay,
For a
good.
short period of time.
Anyway, we always use some fresh blood. Well, we need to talk after the show about it anyway. So, all right. Anyhow, one of those contributors, Pete Perrone. I think I'm pronouncing your name correct. It's Perrone and not Perrone, but if I am mispronouncing it, I apologize. put up an article recently, 3 FastPass Plus selections you need to make at each park. And I thought, because I don't agree with him on all of these, so I thought it might be an interesting discussion point. I know we're running long, but I don't think anybody minds. So, all right, starting off at the Magic Kingdom, the 3 attractions that he says are must FastPass attractions: Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Okay. And then this one is where the wheels come off the wagon for me. Jungle Cruise.
Why wouldn't you do Space Mountain?
Space Mountain, yeah.
Well,
Or
he said-
Splash.
This is what he says. Why I didn't choose Space Mountain.
Okay.
No doubt it's a Disney classic that will have an astronomical wait time by midday. We've never waited longer than 20 minutes, though. We usually choose one day to arrive at Magic Kingdom for its extra magic hour or rope drop. While everyone runs back to New Fantasyland, we make a right and head toward Tomorrowland. This strategy can be applied to most attractions at the Magic Kingdom, but Space Mountain is mainly geared toward older riders. Most families will forego the attraction in favor of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
I disagree with that because I have been to the Magic Kingdom with a bunch of my friends who have kids now, and the first thing those little kids do, and I always admire them for this because I did not go on Space Mountain until I was 18 years old, is they want to sit front row and center on that. So, Mr. Pierogi, I do not agree with you.
Peroni.
Pierogi. I'm
He's a
hungry
nice
now.
Polish treat. I agree on Jungle Cruise, and I think another one
Over
that he
Peter
left-
Pan?
I think actually my 3, if you had that wish list, it would be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because as I'm on record saying I dislike that ride. So the shorter the wait, the better. But Peter Pan and Jungle Cruise waits both get so extravagant, and for me, I love the Jungle Cruise queue with the music and the atmosphere in there, but I don't think the average guest appreciates tiki culture like I do. So I can only imagine how they feel during a 45-minute
All right,
wait.
Rhino, between Jungle Cruise and Peter Pan, which FastPass are you taking?
I would say Peter Pan solely because, I mean, that is a ride that is never going to have less than like a 90-minute wait all day long.
Charles?
If it's your one shot, Peter Pan.
Steve?
I would say between the 2, Peter Pan, but my 3, I just wrote them down, were Space Mountain, Splash, and Big Thunder.
See, I just want to point out, though, part of this, and I don't want to derail it, but my aspect of it is if the ride is actually worth the wait.
Oh, yeah, I don't like Peter Pan.
Then why? Oh, and I know you do with that. But if the
I
ride's-
love Peter Pan.
If the ride's worth the wait, you shouldn't mind waiting in a longer line for it. So I like to think of the ones that when I think about FastPass
I
choices,
completely and utterly, totally
So you're
disagree
saying
with that.
get fast passes to your
That, no,
3
you know,
least
look, there's
favorite?
no ride I'm going to really wait 90 minutes for.
but you're a local. It's
No, this was true before I was a local. There was no ride I was waiting 90 minutes for.
Yeah, no way.
Q goes into it as well, because Big Thunder would not be on my list because I love the ride. It pays, the wait pays off, like Craig mentioned, and also I enjoy the queue. It's well themed. It's not overly hot. Like
Like
I
Seven
wouldn't
Dwarfs
get
Mine
fast
Train?
Yeah, I wouldn't get fast passes for something where, like, assuming it's less than 3 hours, I wouldn't get something for fast pass something if I don't mind waiting. You know, things like Peter Pan. It's not, well, actually, Peter Pan's not a bad queue either, I guess. But
Teresa, Jungle Cruise or Peter Pan?
Jungle Cruise.
Really?
Yeah. I love Jungle Cruise.
And Corey?
Splash Mountain.
Jungle
Actually,
Cruise or Peter Pan?
if it's raining, Peter Pan. If it's not, Jungle Cruise.
Can't
It's
just give a straight
Thursday.
answer.
Right? Just happy to be here.
So, all right, moving over to Animal Kingdom. Avatar or Pandora Flights of Passage. Obviously.
That's a given.
Kilimanjaro Safari and Expedition Everest are his 3 choices. Do you agree or
Yeah,
disagree?
I can
I
agree with
agree.
I
those.
agree with those.
These 3 I agree with. These 3 I do agree
Yeah.
with. I don't think there's a better use of a fast pass than these 3 at Animal Kingdom, Craig.
no, there's not really a lot to Animal Kingdom still in terms of attractions with fast passes. Like I would strongly tell anyone who's trying to use a fast pass for Navi River Journey that they need to really think about their decision. I mean, I guess if they've already used one day, if they got a fast pass for Flight of Passage, and then the next day they're going back, they're like, well, maybe get a fast pass for River Journey then. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, moving over to Hollywood Studios. Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Tower of Terror.
No.
Why? What would you do differently, Ryan?
I would not do the Slinky Dog Dash. You would probably want to do Toy Story Midway Mania because that's another ride that the wait time is never low for that ride.
And he says, yes, Toy Story Midway Mania absolutely warrants a FastPass Plus. It's one of the more popular attractions throughout Disney, as it's a family-friendly ride that's designed for everyone. It has some awesome theming and a fun premise. The new FastPass Plus system at Hollywood Studios allows guests to choose one attraction, excuse me, from Toy Story Land, and two from another land like Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. If you only have one day in the park and are looking to wait the least amount of time at attractions, I choose the Slinky Dog Coaster, at least for the time being. Guests can easily hop on Toy Story Midway Mania at Rope Drop, and the ride's added track has alleviated.
I think there's the point he says in there, like with the Slinky Dog. I got to defend this because I was getting ready for the show, and Ferris saw on my computer the Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster. I was just scrolling through the page. Goes, stop that Toy Story. I think for the time being, I would do that. I would have to do that for my family.
It's not easy to do rope drop at Toy Story Midway Mania, though. That's the thing. You can go online right now and Google videos of how insane it is. And I worked there for years, and it was like this every single day. And when they would ever try and send me over there, they'd be like, "Can you help?" And I'm like, "No, I can't," because people get trampled. They have to herd them in with a rope, and they're all going to the same area. It's like Walmart on Black Friday. Are you crazy?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
I don't think anymore.
I will say
there was a time.
Somebody just posted a video a couple days ago when they were like, "This is what happens when you don't have FastPass at Toy Story Mania," because it was when the FastPass was down for that week.
That being accepted, what do you think's going to happen when Toy Story Land opens?
True. Yeah.
I think it's going to be 100 times worse.
Yeah.
I also wonder, will
it die down over there?
Will it die down over there?
Yeah.
So, but I'm inclined to agree with his rationale here.
I would. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I would. Toy Story Midway Mania, unless the line is still out the door right at the beginning of the morning before it funnels in, the entire line is indoors. So on a hot summer day in Florida, if I have the choice between waiting outside of Rock and Roller Coaster in that back and forth area where it's just fans and wide lines where people use that as a way to cut in front of each other, I'm going to take the indoor one that's a little bit more organized, has air conditioning, and also has stuff to look at.
I don't think the debate was over Rock and Roller Coaster. It was over what ride in Toy Story Land.
Oh, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I would do Tower of Terror. I would do Rock and Roller Coaster, and I would do Slinky Dog. Toy Story's all indoors.
I wouldn't do FastPass for Tower of Terror because I like the theming. I don't like the ride. I chicken out at the end, but I like the theming in the line.
Yeah, what would a third be then in that park? What would your 3 be?
I don't think I would have 3 because I don't.
That's part of the problem too. I think Star Wars. I think Star Tours is a fair contender for this as well, because that line can get
It's usually posted wrong.
For me though, would be Tower of Terror, Toy Story Mania, and if I had to choose, Star Tours.
Yeah, I don't do Rock and Roller Coaster.
I don't do Rock and Roller Coaster either. So, all right, let's move over to Epcot. It starts off with Frozen Ever After. Spaceship Earth, which you are just completely wrong on that.
Yeah.
Weird.
And Meet Mickey and Friends.
It's slim pickings at Epcot.
Yeah, it's tough.
It really is.
But
Test track.
You can't.
Here's why he chose. He said, "I did not choose Soarin'," which I think would be the most obvious one. He's not a fan of Soarin'. I went back on in 2015 and the ride felt dated. The attraction has since been renovated with new screens, better projections, and updated scents. While Soarin' may not attract the crowd it once did, it's still a very popular ride and warrants a FastPass Plus. He still says that you can get on that fairly quickly at Rope Drop. Now, this is assuming you're going to do a Rope Drop. So maybe if you are doing Rope Drop at each of these parks, some of this may make sense. But there are a lot of people, that will not
rope drop
do
at
Rope
noon?
Drop.
Sure, but not.
Yeah, if they're going to open the park at noon, I'm all in. But outside of that, not going to happen. So I think, between Soarin' and Test Track, because you can only choose one of them, where would you go, Steve?
Soarin', but I would know to request B1.
But also, isn't it true? This is anecdotal, but the lines for Spaceship Earth get long in the morning. But once World Showcase opens up, those lines by mid-afternoon, I'm used to seeing Spaceship Earth 15, 20-minute wait.
It's like your calm down ride on the way out of the park.
It's never an hour and a half or 2 hours like Soarin' or Test Track can get
It's
to.
not the 5-minute waits that it used to be. Like before, you could always count.
No, but it's also
it
not
being
the
5
hour,
minutes.
hour and a half that Soarin' and Test Track are.
I would go with Test Track because I hate that queue. It is even when I worked there back before the refurb,
It's pretty awful.
It was
The music?
It was super obnoxious then. Now it's still just as obnoxious. I despise this queue so much. So anything to get me through it faster and actually get to the ride portion, I'm going to be okay with.
I would never FastPass Test Track myself because it's got a single rider option. And if you shoot through that, it's really quick.
That's fair,
It's
yeah.
really quick. I don't like Soaring, but between the two of those, I would do Soaring because it has no single rider.
Why don't
Do
you
you-
like Soarin'?
Huh?
Why don't you like Soarin'?
Because I think their design was absurd, and you don't make a ride where only 33% of the people can truly
Right, if you're
enjoy it.
really not sitting dead center, the
Eiffel Tower. is
everything's
twisted.
curved.
I hate them for it.
Yeah, but
Wow.
do you
I like
once
the feet hanging in front of me. I love that.
once you know where to sit though, do you hate it?
Not everybody should have to take a class on where to sit before
but
they go
do you
through it.
enjoy in that prime spot?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I would do.
but I don't think you design a ride.
I mean,
where
I'm not
everybody
justifying
can
that
enjoy it.
Disney should have
You're
done that.
you're a Soarin' apologist, and you
No,
have been
I'm
for a
just
very long
saying-
time, and I don't like it.
I'm not saying what Disney did is right.
We
I'm
all
just
know what
saying-
you're saying.
Would
Oh,
you
get outta here.
Is there anybody in the room that would choose a character meet and greet FastPass over Soarin' or Test Track?
I'll tell you this, like for Epcot, for example, like I would choose Frozen Ever After and then also Soarin', and then usually we take whatever's left. And that's all, the meet and greets are always available, but you can't, meet and greets are endless. I mean, they're timeless. How many times, you can meet Mickey every week and you're still going to be happy with it. So we always try to pick that whenever it's available, especially for our kids.
Yeah.
For kids, yeah, definitely.
All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. And I'm really hoping I have music to play me out here. We will see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great week, everybody. And remember, stay out of the damn lakes. Bye.